So I want you to imagine a government that's so disconnected from its people that its big national strategy session it looks like a chaotic bubble bath party. And that is the bizarre, fascinating scene we're going to break down today. We're going character by character to really understand its sharp commentary on a leadership that is completely lost in the foam. And right from the jump, this quote just throws us into the heart of the conflict. You have this bubbly catastrophe unfolding inside a palace. Well, the very people it affects are locked out, forced to just watch. It's this perfect, stark visual of the absurd divide between the rulers and the ruled. So yeah, that gets us to the central question, right? What does this foamy spectacle really represent? What is this whole bubble bath scene trying to tell us about how power and priorities and public perception can go so horribly wrong? Okay, so here's our game plan for figuring that out. We'll start with the setting itself, and then we're going to meet all the key players one by one. You've got the oblivious host, the clumsy actors, the so-called gurus, a very uninvited guest, and finally the people who are left outside looking in. First up, the setting. Look, this isn't just any party. It's a bubble bath happening in a grand palace. And right away, this becomes this central metaphor for a state of mind, a leadership that's completely submerged in its own luxurious, totally pointless distractions. And the imagery here is just so striking. I mean, we're talking golden tubs, endless steam and foam, plastic ducks floating everywhere. Every single detail is designed to just scream absurdity. It's this powerful visual of immense wealth and energy being poured into something utterly frivolous, while real problems are just festering outside the palace walls. So who's in charge of all this bubbly chaos? Well, meet Mullah Baballah. He's the host of the party and the figurehead of this entire operation. He represents a kind of leadership that isn't just out of touch, but is, willfully ignorant. And his own words just say it all, don't they? While the whole nation is in turmoil, his only concern is foam and fragrance. This quote brilliantly captures his complete disconnect from anything that even resembles a real-world problem. This isn't just ignorance, it's governance by blissful denial. So his role in all this is basically just to enable the chaos. While everyone else is slipping and sliding, he's just calmly sipping his tea. And that golden sponge he's holding? It's a perfect parody of a royal scepter, a symbol of power with absolutely no purpose other than making more bubbles. He's not steering the ship, he's just admiring the foam. Next up, we have the supposed agents of power, the ones who are meant to be carrying out the host's grand vision. But in this satire, they're portrayed as nothing more than clumsy actors, just utterly incompetent, and achieving the precise opposite of whatever their goals were supposed to be. And this table here just brilliantly illustrates their shared incompetence. Okay, let's look at Hamas first. They're shown slipping on foam, bumping into each other, and getting into these petty fights with rubber ducks. The satire is pointing to a group that's clumsy, directionless, and just consumed by pointless internal squabbles. And then you've got Hezbollah. They have these huge, impressive-looking foam sprayers, a clear symbol of projected power, but they only manage to misfire and hit themselves. It's a perfect, cutting metaphor for self-defeating strategic actions that only end up hurting their own cause. I mean, this line just perfectly captures the tragic comedy of it all. It's that moment of dawning realization from inside the chaos. They have the tools for a strategic attack, but their incompetence is so profound that they become their own worst enemy. The satirical commentary here is just incredibly sharp. All right, so now, let's talk about the so-called intellectuals of the bubble bath. These are the gurus who, instead of trying to fix the mess, are busy analyzing it in the most pretentious and frankly useless ways you can imagine. And this is exactly what they represent, pseudo-intellectualism. Using complex language and abstract theories to describe the foam, but completely ignoring the practical reality that the entire palace is drowning in a pointless, self-inflicted disaster. I mean, seriously, can you get any more absurdly academic than this? This quote from V. Du Bois, who's kind of the lead guru, is the absolute pinnacle of useless analysis. He's not solving the problem. He's creating a complex formula to describe it, which helps absolutely no one. So the crucial point here is that none of their contributions are actually contributions. Vit Dubois is lecturing on foam strategy. Ty Bianchi is just adding pretty colors to the disaster by making it rainbow-colored, and Mongol Anderson, he just floats around angrily, achieving nothing. They're all just part of the spectacle, not part of the solution. And just when you think this scene can't get any more chaotic, an uninvited guest crashes the party. Enter always Marco, the flamboyant opportunist who sees this mess not as a crisis, but as a golden opportunity for some self-promotion. Just look at this entrance. He doesn't belong there, but he acts like he owns the place. He brings his own props, these flamingo-shaped floaties, makes a huge scene, and just uses the chaos to his advantage. By grabbing a plastic duck and using it as a loudspeaker, he literally hijacks the absurdity to make himself the center of attention. And there it is. That's his mission statement. He doesn't want to end the bubble bath. He wants to rule it. He's not there to fix the problem. He's there to declare himself king of it. This character is really a stand-in for any opportunist who just thrives in dysfunction and wants to profit from it.
But now we've got to pivot to what might be the most important part of this entire satire. Because while all of this is happening inside the palace, there's another world just outside the walls, the world of the actual citizens.
This slide just lays out the contrast with, honestly, brutal clarity. Inside, you have golden tubs, debates on foam density, plastic duck fights. Outside, you have dilapidated roads, empty hospitals, and people protesting for their most basic needs. The bubble bath isn't just a party, it's a barrier, separating an oblivious elite from the harsh reality their people are forced to live in. And these are the voices of reason, piercing through all that absurdity. The demands are so simple and practical. We wanted roads, not ducks. They see exactly what's happening. Their national resources are being turned into a frivolous, bubbly spectacle. And that line, "foam is not freedom," is such a powerful and concise critique of their leaders' totally misplaced priorities. This quote from a citizen just sums up the entire public feeling. It's raw, it's angry, and from their perspective, it's painfully accurate. The foam isn't just foam. It represents wasted potential, stolen resources, and a government that has completely and utterly lost its way. So when you put all these pieces together, the oblivious host, the clumsy actors, the pretentious gurus, and the opportunistic usurper, the core message becomes crystal clear. This isn't just a story about some weird party. It's a biting satire of a ruling class that has replaced real governance with performance and public service with a self-indulgent spectacle. And this all leaves us with a final, really powerful question. While the satire is funny, its underlying message is deeply serious. It forces us to ask, when those in power are so lost in their own bubbles, who is left outside to deal with the real-world consequences? Who ultimately pays the price for all that foam?